Hi everyone. Intel launched the Cry9 3900K that's called Raptor Lake Refresh. For this CPU, Intel used the previous motherboard with LGA 1700, the technology of CPU 10 nanometer, but AMD used the 5 nanometer technology that's called TSMC. Let's go to Intel and AMD site and compare hardware spec, and after it go to the benchmark and see comparison. The Intel site wrote better detail and support more technology like quick sync video. Intel used 24 cores in 4900K that include 8 core performance and total 30 cores. But due to TSMC Technology, AMD used 16 cores and 32 threads. You can see the importance of TSMC 5 nanometer technology that can remove a core, and AMD gets near result with Intel by using this technology. Intel used Pro technology like deep learning, but AMD don't support Pro technology. For having the maximum frequency in both CPU, you must have base cooling and motherboard. The CPU turbo frequency depends on cooling and power. Before I forgot this tip, you must see the T-junction max, that means the maximum temperature that CPU dies. For Intel, this value are 100, but T-junction max of AMD are different. In Ryzen 9 7915X, the T-junction max are 95 centigrade, and in 17950X3D, the T-junction max are 89 centigrade. You must pay attention to this tip on the benchmark. The DDR5 memory frequency in Intel CPU 5600, but AMD DDR5 frequency 5200, and both AMD and Intel now support ECC Memory on the desktop. You must know AMD have new AM5 Socket that support newer CPU in B650E and X670E motherboard until 2025. But Intel have a dead socket and finish on support LGA 1700. The President Biden don't know which is better. One have AM5 socket and up to 2025 support from the motherboard, and another gets a better result and support Pro technology. Let's go to the benchmark and comparison. AMD Ryzen 9 17950X3D versus Intel Cry9 4900K. CPU comparison. On the Microsoft Office, we get a better result on the Cry9 4900K versus 7915X and 7950X3D. On the photogrammetry, again we have a better result on Cry9 4900K. On the Microsoft Office, we get a better result, and in the photogrammetry, get a better result on Intel. On the video editing, we get a better result on Intel. On the video editing part, Intel Get a Better Result, and on the stock part and overclocking part, small difference between Intel and AMD. On the image editing part, we have a better result on Intel, but small difference between AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D and i9 4900K. You can see this picture are related to tech power up. On the CPU monkey part, Intel on the Cinebench 2024 single core gets a better result than AMD. On the Cinebench single and multi-core, Intel get a better result. On the Cinebench R23 on the single and multi-core, we have a better result on Intel. On the single core, we have a better result, and AMD in the multi-core get a better result. On the Geekbench 5, on the Intel, we get a better result. On the Geekbench 5, on the multi-core, we have a better result on the Intel. On the Geekbench 6 single core, Intel gets a better result. And in the Geekbench 6 multi-core, the Core i9 4900K get a better result than AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D. Intergraphic part of these two CPU, AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D and Intel Core i9 14900K. You can see Intel gets a better result. But in Passmark, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D get a better result. On the application power consumption comparison, you can see AMD Ryzen get a better result than 4900K. We have a lower power consumption. On the Ryzen 9 7950X3D, we get a very better result than Core i9 4900K. On the gaming part power consumption comparison, AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D, we get a better result also. And go to the next picture. On the gaming power consumption part of 7950X3D, we get lower part in some gaming. Very better in some gaming, and in another game we have a small difference. We can see the compression and decompression part on the AMD Better. On the 3D Mark Fire Strike, again you can see on the score small difference, and in physics Intel get a better result. On the Passmark 10, you can see 4900K this part, and 7950X3D this part, red chart and blue chart. We compare red chart and blue chart. In some part, AMD gets a better result, but in photo editing and Intel get a better result, but in rendering, again, Intel get a better result. You can see on digital counter creation, Intel get a better result. In the video editing, Intel get a better result. In the rendering part, Intel get a better result. But in photo editing part, Ryzen 7950X3D gets a better result. Now in the VRM of CPU and power consumption part, Intel and AMD part get a near result in VRM part, but in power usage of CPU, AMD gets very better result. On the PCMARK 10, you can see the 14900K. On the split head, we had a better result. On the productivity, Intel gets a better result, and in writing part, AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D gets a better result than Intel. On the Cinebench 2024, Intel gets a near result to AMD 7950X 3D. On JellyFish 400 Mbps 4K 30 frames per second, you can see on the video decoding part, you can see internal graphic on 14900K Ultra HD 770 get a better result. You can see the internal graphics of Intel 4900K very better than AMD. On the Big Box Bowling 4K 60 frame, again you can see the internal graphics of Intel get a better result. On SkyDriver and Nitrate, you can see higher is better, and Intel 4900K with internal graphic UHD 770 gets a very better result. On the Cinebench 2024, you can see Core i9 4900K on the multi-code gets a better result. On the single core, you can see Intel Better. In IPC Cinebench 2024, the difference between 14th generation and 13th generation of CPU very small. On the multi-core, you can see the difference very small. On the browser benchmark, you can see higher is better, and Intel Core i9 4900K gets a better result. On the Blender software, you can see 7950X3D get a better result than Core i9 4900K. On the Adobe After Effects 2023, we can see higher is better, and Intel 4900K gets a better result than AMD. On Adobe Photoshop 2024, the Intel 4900K gets a better result than 17915X 3D and 17915X. On Adobe Premiere Pro 2023, you can see Intel small difference with AMD part, and AMD gets a near result to Intel, but Intel better. On 7-zip file manager comparison, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D gets a better result. On the decompression part, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7915X gets a better result. On the Assesto, we can see the AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D gets a better result than Core i9 4900K. You can see the small difference between two parts. On the power part, Intel and AMD part get a near result in Assesto. A plate tail, you can see higher frame rate, higher is better, and in the gaming part, AMD versus Intel. On a specific tail part, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D gets a better result. On the power part, you can see AMD versus Intel. Small difference, but AMD gets a better result. On the Cyberpunk 2077, you can see higher is better, and AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D gets a better result. Again, you can see on the power part, AMD gets very better result than Intel. On Factorio part, you can see higher is better, and Intel Core i9 4900K gets a better result. You can see on the big map of Factorio, the Intel gets a better result. You can see in the gaming part, lower is better, and in the power part of game, and if you need to buy a better PSU, Intel in the gaming part better, but AMD have a lower power consumption. You can see lower power consumption on the AMD part. And higher is better, and you can see on this part small difference, but AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D gets a better result on 1080p. On the Hitman 3 gaming part, on Hitman 3 game, you can see higher is better, and Core i9 4900K gets a better result. On the power part, you can see very different between 17950X 3D and Core i9 4900K. On the HogWarts Legacy, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7950X 3D gets a better result than 4900K, but a small difference between Intel and AMD. On the power part, you can see AMD Get Better Result. On Baldur Gate 3, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D get a better result than Intel. On the power part, again you can see AMD achieve a better result. On the Baldur's Gate 3, you can see higher is better, and on the Baldur's Gate 3, you can see 4900K versus 13900K have a small difference. On the Baldur's Gate 3, you can see 14th generation CPU versus 13th generation CPU, a small difference. Again, you can see power consumption, a small difference between 13th generation and 14th generation of Intel CPU. On the AMD part, you can see achieve a better result. On the AMD Ryzen 9 7915X3D, we achieve better frame rate. Spider-Man, you can see on the AMD part, we get a better result in power consumption. On the Starfield, you can see 14900K get a better result than AMD Ryzen 9 7915X3D. You can see in the power part, you can see AMD get a better result, and AMD all in all have a better power consumption. You can see on the Star Wars, AMD Ryzen 9 7915X3D get a better result than Intel, but the difference very small. You can see Star Wars lower is better, and in Star Wars between Intel and AMD in power consumption very different, and AMD get a better power consumption. You can see in the last of us part 1, Intel Core i9 4900K get a better result. And in power part, lower power is better, and AMD get a better result. But don't forget AMD have AM5 Socket and support the CPU up to 2025. On the watchdogs, you can see higher is better. In the watchdogs, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D get a better result. On the power, you can see AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D get a better result. On the Assassine Creed, you can see AMD versus Intel. Intel gets a better result in frame on the gaming part. On the power part, lower is better, and AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D get a better result. On the power consumption part, about 100 watts better in AMD. And don't forget that Tjmax in Intel Better 100 centigrade, but in Ryzen 9 7915X the Tjmax are 95 and get a better result in temperature part AMD Ryzen 9 7915X. But Intel versus AMD in the power consumption part, AMD gets a better result, but in cooling part, if you consider the Tjmax of Ryzen 9 7915X 3D, that 89 centigrade versus Intel 4900K, that the Tjmax are 100, Intel gets a better result than Ryzen 9 7915X 3D. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that is useful for you. Please see my playlist about hardware, software repairing, programming and new technology.